Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Senior Spotlight for the spring semester. My name is Wes McKinney, and our student athlete profile today highlights men's basketball senior David Mulumba. Dave, so great you could stop by today.
Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, looking forward to talking about some of the great games you played here at Concord, some of the memories you have with your teammates. But before we talk about specific games, talk about your career here at Concord. I want to talk about your path to Concord. Very unique in the sense that you're originally from Belgium. You came to Concord by way of Tees Valley Christian School, which is just outside of Charleston. And I know it's a long path for you to get from your home country of Belgium to Athens here. So if you could maybe start maybe like midway through high school and just kind of take it from there if you could.
So I was in Belgium my junior year. No, my sophomore year I was in Belgium, and I played for the national team of Belgium, the youth national team of Belgium, and I got recruited to play prep in America. So through recruiters from Huntington Prep at that point, I got to America. Actually, they watched film on me and they offered me to come to America. So that's where I was my junior year. And then I had more of a connection with the coach from Tees Valley Christian, who had been a coach for Huntington Prep at that a year before I came. And he had recruited me to come to Tees Valley Christian, and I liked to fit better there. And I kind of had it, like I said, I had a connection with him. I had a bond with him throughout the year that I played at Huntington Prep. And I decided for my senior year to transfer to Tees Valley Christian. And that's where I played my whole senior year. And then, I played local tournaments. I played the national tournaments, and I first got recruited by Concord University through a tournament in Beckley at the Armour. We
Mm-hmm.
played we played Woodrow Wilson, if I'm not mistaken, at the Armour, and that's the first time that Coach May came out and showed interest. And not long after that, I received a an offer from Concord University, and that's kind of how I got familiar with the school here. Came on a visit when they played Wesleyan that year of my senior year, and decided that this was going to be the right fit for me. That the coaches were the right coaching staff for me, and I tagged along and committed here.
Let me take a step back here before we move along. Your I guess kind of what was the communication process like to get you to the states in the first place? You talk about having that relationship with the coaches at Huntington Prep, but how does all that kind of come about? I guess.
So so obviously with the national team, it has a big platform,
Mm-hmm.
and so prep schools, they were looking at young European players from obviously my country and other countries in Europe. And when they contacted me, it was actually through Twitter. They followed me on Twitter actually, and it wasn't later after that where they had a guy in Europe. They had a guy in Europe traveling around Europe that summer that approached me in Belgium. He approached me in Belgium during a tournament in Belgium, one of the summer tournaments in Belgium. He approached me and he said, "Listen, Huntington Prep is very interested. I'm their guy. I'm about to go back. Can I put you in contact with the coach over there?" And that's kind of how that's how I got in that story. Well, they had a contact in between us, in between me and my parents and my family, and then Huntington Prep themselves. They had a guy that was traveling back and forth from Europe to the U.S. and kind of was recruiting for them in Europe.
Okay, let's dig in here a little bit. Let's talk about your development as a freshman here at Concord, adjusting to the college game. Obviously, different from the high school level, the prep level you played at there at Huntington. Obviously, a lot of good competition that you played at Huntington and at Tees Valley both. But what was the adjustment like for you getting to Concord?
Um, it was tough because the school part got way harder. The school part got way harder. All, and it was very difficult because the intensity obviously on the court leveled up, as soon as you got to the college level, it leveled up extremely. But on top of that, you had to stay on top of your academics. And when you get to college, obviously the academics got a little harder, which was a new level I had to tap in. You had to make sure. Now you had to also take care of study hall, which we didn't have. At Taste Valley, you had other things that you had to worry about. A strict, it was a lot, like the practices were a lot stricter. We had conditioning, we had weights, we had individual workouts, then we had a team practice. So there was a lot more things that you had to do coming into college, which obviously I was kind of prepared coming from Taste Valley Christian, but not all the way prepared. So that was an adjustment that I had to make, but it was really the intensity of practices and the workouts, and it was just a new level to it that I had to adjust to coming in to Concord.
How enjoyable was your sophomore season, Dave? Because you're only playing 12 games as a freshman, about 35 minutes, I believe, you played your first season. But your sophomore season, you become a full-time starter. Concord wins 20 games. You get your first career double early in your sophomore season. You have a 20-10 game at Wheeling. Just a lot of good highlights for you there as a sophomore. How enjoyable was that to kind of, finally make your mark in this program?
It was very enjoyable because, throughout the process of like my freshman year, coach always told me like stay patient because what a lot of people didn't know, 3 weeks before the freshman season started, I got hurt. So like I got injured, and that sent me kind of back in the rotation of the team. And then a couple of days before the season started, my freshman year, I got hurt again. So coach knew that the talent was there. Coach knew that I worked hard, and he just told me like stay solid, stay dedicated to the process, to the work, and your time will come. And that was the work that I put in. It was a long time because you have to think about it. It was my whole freshman year basically, then the whole summer going into my sophomore year, and then like that whole preseason of the summer, that whole preseason going into my sophomore year, that I had to stay patient and just keep on working. So when that game, I think that was the first time it really like blew up. I think that Wheeling game, that was kind of like a relief because I was like, okay, all that work is paying off. Like I actually can do this. I can actually set my mark and actually do this on a high level, and that kind of gave me a lot of confidence, and it made me really content about the work that I put in all the way until that point.
Mm-hmm. A little bit of a slow start as a junior. You still playing all 30 games during the 2019-20 season. Concord has a slow start as a team, but you come on there, I guess about the end of January. You really start making your mark on the team there as a junior. You have 25 points, 10 rebounds against an extremely physical style that Fairmont State plays. Walk me through that game if you could, particularly.
So the game before that, we were at Frostburg. We lost at Frostburg, and after that game, that was a very tough game because we lost that at the buzzer, if I'm not mistaken,
Mm-hmm.
or like it was like we lost by 3, and we were in the locker room, and it was just coach challenged us. He challenged us individually to step up and live up to the potential that we had and the talent that we had. And until that point, I had on and off moments, but it hadn't been consistent, and it hadn't been what I had shown the year before that. And he didn't challenge me personally, but through his speech after that Frostburg game, I had told myself that like if we want to make the tournament, now it's time for me to step up. I may not myself, I can't like dictate whether we win or lose, but I have to show that I want to win and I want to like do this. And going into that Fairmont game, I just told myself I ain't got nothing to lose. Like now is the moment to show what I can do and make a run at the tournament. And that's kind of like going into that game where my mind was.
You guys don't win that Fairmont game. You guys lose, I think, by like 8 or 9 points there.
Yeah.
But a game that you really have an unbelievable performance, and it kind of pushed Concord over the top there coming down the stretch of the season. You probably know exactly what I'm going to say. 8 of 8 shooting, 20 points against Wheeling. You guys dominate from start to finish in that contest. When did you kind of sense in that game that, hey, what I'm doing here is really special?
I actually didn't. I really did not, because in the moment I wasn't thinking about it. It wasn't until later. It wasn't until after the game where coach was like, "Yeah, you had 20 points, all like, and you did not miss." But in that moment, like I was just playing and wanting to win, because I knew that we would have a very tough stretch. After those couple of games where like we needed to win a bunch of games in order to get that playing game against eventually Notre Dame. So it was just about, like, obviously I had the confidence of the Fairmont game, and then going into that, it was just kind of getting that momentum to keep going, and give me over that hump that I had throughout the whole season, kind of.
You talk about your work ethic there leading into your sophomore year, but now as a senior, as you transition from your junior season into the start of your senior season, obviously a lot is going on in the world with the pandemic, but you've got to do more than just your actions on the court. You got to be a leader off the court. What kind of adjustment was that?
It was a big adjustment because I'm not. I had to challenge myself to be a little bit more vocal. I understood that, okay, now I'm a senior. I have to come in and like dictate everything through my actions, but also through my words. I have to be that guy that uh, a guy like Casastero was, my freshman year, and BJ and Tommy and all those guys. Like, now I'm in that role, and I have to take over, verbally too. Like, I have to talk to my teammates. I have to, I have to show action, and that was a challenge because I wasn't used to that. But I mean, it I kind of, it helped that I had a good bond with my teammates, and that kind of helped me into becoming that guy, that vocal leader too.
Some games here from your senior season, excuse me. Obviously, those games against Davis and Elkins, you guys have two unbelievable games. An overtime game here in the regular season, you guys win, and then the play-in tournament game. Would have loved to see what the crowds would have been like for those two games. Just the way that there was punches thrown back and forth. What was it like to play in those two particular games, though?
It was intense. It was intense because it was those were the type of games you couldn't make a mistake. Like, everything had to be perfect, and you had to try to be as perfect as possible. Obviously, you're not going to be perfect, but the communication had to be 100. The effort had to be on 100. Like, those were the type of games that you really practice for, that you condition for, that you lift weights for. Like, those were the moments where you show like what this team is built, like, made up, really.
Dave, appreciate the time here this afternoon, and we obviously look forward to what the future holds for you here as you become a graduate here of Concord University coming up. And we wish you all the best, my man.
Thank you very much, Wes.
All right, take care. Once again, Dave Mulumba on the Senior Spotlight for the spring 2021 semester.